Hey everybody, welcome back to Dreamseed VR. I'm your host Sarah Finn, and today I want to share with you a recent conversation I had with a friend of mine, a VR sculptor and artist named Zane Rogers. So Zane is an incredibly talented guy. He has a lot of really interesting influences that range from art history to biomechanics a la H.R. Giger. And I wanted to talk to him a little bit about his process in Medium VR, as well as his influences and the things he does with his virtual sculptures. So I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did, and without further ado, let's get started. So I'm here with my friend Zane Rogers, and we're exploring some of his work in virtual reality in real time. He's working on this beautiful sculpture, and I just wanted to kind of pick his brain and hear a little bit about his process and his artistic journey. I've been really fascinated with his art as well as his exploration of art history and different styles. And thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me this evening and share with us a little bit of your work.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to be here.
Sweet. So, gosh, it's hard to even think of where to start because I feel like I've seen so much of your work over the past year or two, and it all has a really definitive style, but there's so many different explorations. Um, I know that you have been a digital artist for quite a while, but it precedes your foray into VR by quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I kind of have like a really weird history, I guess, like altogether. I probably started sculpting. Well, I used to draw a lot as a kid. I used to draw aliens all the time, like, from the Alien movie. I was like obsessed with that kind of stuff. Um, and then I heard about ZBrush when I was like 23, 24-ish. Kind of picked it up and put it down a lot since then. So I'd go, a few months learning it really heavy, doing stuff, and then life would get in the way and I would drop it for a while. But then I had a year where I just everything kind of lined up and I decided to just really go for it and had kind of been developing a little bit of a style even before that. And then I just kind of, yeah, it was in like 2019. I took it full time and used primarily ZBrush, but then I saw some ads and stuff or some YouTube videos on Medium, bought an Oculus, and then I've been using Medium for probably about a year now. It'll be close to a year now. It's been a lot of fun.
Right? I'm just mesmerized by how smooth you're able to work with it. So I'm curious. So that's basically like a kind of a homegrown background when it comes to digital sculpture and stuff like that. Just sort of self-taught with the program ZBrush.
Yeah, yeah, basically, I mean, I've just always took in tutorials or YouTube videos or, paid a little bit for like Gumroad tutorials, but never went to school for it or art or anything like that. So like kind of really informal. I don't know any kind of like art theory or like techniques to sculpting. Like I know that you have like your primary form that you work and then your secondary and then the final details after that, and I just kind of don't do any of that.
Well, you
I
could have
just
fooled
kind of do
me.
whatever, but I feel like that kind of gives it, you know what I mean, a unique feel in its own way, I guess.
Yeah. No, your work's amazing. I feel really lucky that I've been able to.
Thank you.
You're so prolific too, so it's always awesome to see you working on something new and pushing your art form. I feel like that's one of the things that really defines passion with an artist's work is that they're always trying to improve their skill set. What?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
you're fine. Um, One of the things that I really enjoy about your work is that I can see the Geiger influence, but I also love your exploration of art history and all the different forms and kinds of filigree and blending with that kind of biomechanical style. And I'm kind of curious about what some of your first inspirations were when it comes to art history and which cultures you feel like you are inspired by and visit the most in your reference work?
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to say like my early favorites are like when I really started like getting interested in like more of like the history aspect of things. It was definitely the ancient Egyptians. I think that's a lot of people get really, mesmerized by their stuff. And just kind of like the crazy stonework that they did. They would carve these things out of like, just these impossible to work with stones and then create, these almost like mathematically perfect sculptures and designs. And just the way that they accentuated the forms and kind of played with like the proportions on the face and stuff and the body. It really was really, really cool, really inspiring. And I feel like it's been an inspiration for a lot of artists who are even in kind of like the more biomechanical, like surrealist, look back at like that kind of stuff too. And then I'd say lately for like art or from the history that I really, really enjoy has got to be like Mesoamerican, like the Aztecs, Mayans, Olmecs. Their artwork is just super impressive. I really like how, like this one right here. I don't know. I really just, it's really interesting thought process and idea behind it, like, and the forms and like the shapes are super rigid and stuff, but it's really, really cool. I really like their stuff. And then, a lot of like ancient like Hindu art and stuff too, I really like quite a bit. And they've both been kind of my favorite, and just the way that the patterns that they use and how they carve them into stone, it's just always like blown my mind, you know. I sit
Yeah.
here and do it on a computer, yeah, with everything, all kinds of assistance and all the time in the world, and I really like can't even do half of what they did in stone, So it just I have nothing but respect for all of that, and it really inspires me.
Well, it really shows that you have such a fine tuned pattern recognition for your references and that you can see the overlap in the stylistic forms. So, that in and of itself just really shows how much you respect their work. And I think that's one of my favorite things about the style that you've created for your work is that it's instantly recognizable and it really does pay homage to those things. I'm
Yeah.
curious because you mentioned that you spent quite a bit of time in ZBrush before moving to adding Medium to your repertoire. And I'm just curious because so many of us are exploring virtual reality and kind of still in um, that frontier where we're exploring different software programs and learning what the workflows look and feel like. And I'm
Hmm.
wondering how naturalistic your experience feels going from something that's mouse and screen based in ZBrush. And ZBrush is a really powerful program, but it also has a very intricate user interface. And that tends to be something that deters a lot of people from utilizing it. But Medium,
Yeah.
in my personal experience, is very intuitive and fluid, and I'm wondering how much that impacts your ability to like explore forms, but also have does it speed up your workflow? Does it allow you to explore more easily? Does it give you a different experience as an artist creating?
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like if I had done like actual like clay sculpture as like a starting point instead of just always doing digital, I think that Adobe Medium would have came more naturally to me because it is, you're working with your hands and you add layers and you can stretch stuff out and it's kind of like adding real physical clay. And then ZBrush is, just on the computer, you you can, you carve it all in with like your screen and tablet, so they are a little bit different. Um, and ZBrush does have like a really daunting interface. I'm so used to it now after so many years that it doesn't bother me, but I know it's really tough for a lot of people. When I started using Adobe Medium, though, it took me a little bit to sort of like figure out, you know, how to develop a workflow because it is so different than ZBrush. I noticed that I use like, I've got a few layers on here, but I have some projects that I'll have, you know, 30 or 40 layers on it. And in ZBrush, I never used to do that. I used to try to do all of my pieces were just one piece, and that was it. I'll sculpt it out of the same, sphere or something like that. And Medium kind of broke me out of that habit in a way and actually influenced how I approach stuff in ZBrush even. I started realizing that there were certain things I could do in Medium that I couldn't do in ZBrush, and then like actually changing how I sculpted in ZBrush because of Medium. So it's been a pretty influential program. There's still some stuff that's harder to do in Medium than ZBrush, like crevices I've noticed and things like that are kind of hard to do.
Yeah, they are.
But um, Medium, though, it's also easy to add hair really quick, add the eyebrows and get them all matched up. Kind of do like cool accessories over stuff, where in ZBrush you have to play around quite a bit to get the same effect. So it's really just almost instant in Adobe Medium.
Hmm.
I also find myself a lot less distracted because I can't see anything. There's no Facebook
It's so
notifications or
nice,
anything.
isn't it? It's totally immersive. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like in my own little zone.
get
So,
into the flow space.
yeah.
Well, I
And
love your
then
use of
really,
texture in Medium, just being able to see the reflectivity, because then that kind of relates to a lot of the renders I've seen you do of your work too.
yeah, just trying to get a basic metal kind of look. And I use sort of this this shiny metal because let's see here. If I go to my settings and I just turn down that's all the way down. If I turn it all the way up, it's like it gets hard to see where there might be some areas that look kind of funny, and I won't see them until I render it or put it in a blender or something.
Mm-hmm.
So if I turn down that roughness, then I can like actually start to see where like some of the shapes are. But yeah, it's a
So
lot of
yeah,
fun.
I'm curious about some of your favorite applications, because I know you do a lot of 3D printing work, and Lord knows I've picked your brain over and over again about your favorite 3D printers. But I'm curious
Yeah.
over the past few years, and then also where you kind of see your work going, like what are your more fulfilling outputs that you've had for the work that you create in VR?
Yeah, so with like VR, obviously, I think VR is going to be the future of design. I actually talk a lot with Lydia Choi, I think is her last name, who's on the development team for Medium and stuff.
Oh,
And
awesome.
I'll get to test the new Substance 3D designer, which is going to be it's like taking Medium, like what Medium is, and then adding a bunch more features to it. Unfortunately, it's going to go to a subscription model, but and just kind of adding that in, and within that, they're actually going to add support for like, I could have this model here in VR, and then say I want to do something, I take off my VR headset, go to my computer, and then I can use my pen and start sculpting on it and have different tools to use. So I feel like regardless of what I'm doing in the future, there's always going to be an aspect of it that's going to be done in VR just because it has so many benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun too, you know what I mean? It's nice to just kind of hide in like this like black space and get kind of lost in your designs. I think that's probably my favorite part about it is like I'm just disconnected from the world in a way that I can't really get with anything else,
Yeah, I'm
or
glad
with like
someone else
ZBrush.
likes it, because for me that black space with your artwork is really kind of comforting. It's kind of like the space becomes an extension of your imagination as a studio, as a blank canvas, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, it sort of becomes like your playground in a way for sure.
Yeah.
To try stuff out and do stuff and it's really fun too to like take it and like make it really big and be like, wow, like this is if it was like a massive statue,
Yeah.
you know, and then you can make it really small. And if you're like looking at it from like, okay, if it's like, maybe I want to add like, and this is another thing I really like about Medium is just the fact that you can go ahead and you can just like lay forms out there, just like, and then I can start making this maybe into a necklace shape or like a necklace, and then
Yeah.
kind of see, what it's
The
like
prototyping
that
is
way.
amazing. You can just throw stuff out there and see what sticks to the wall, so to say.
Exactly, and there's a lot of times where that's like literally led my design direction. And I don't really get that with ZBrush.
Mm-hmm.
ZBrush doesn't really, it's a lot more rigid, I feel like, and a design, as a design flow goes.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because that's a really big aspect of working with real world materials is that you kind of like in real time sort of brainstorm different utilities for them or you explore different possibilities that aren't as easily accessible when you're working in more of like a design space. I feel like that's kind of the threshold between design space and like an art space.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
wait to see some of
definitely.
these things. Like, I would love to see avatars that are, built off of some of the forms that you create in here, or just see animated things and stuff like that. Um, have you had any interesting collaborations lately that you want to tell us about?
Um, I've done a few pins with Big Woolly Designs, which is like a friend of mine. And so that's been kind of a new thing. And actually, a few of the pins that I've actually designed in Medium. I have one coming out that I designed completely in Medium.
Awesome.
So that's kind of an interesting thing, but that's more of a real world. I was in a music video, or my art was in a music video, but that wasn't like Medium art. I guess that was like ZBrush stuff, and it was a while ago.
That was pretty
I don't
cool.
really.
Honestly, like I really, even though I know that it was unique circumstances that led your work to being featured in that music video, I was really stoked to see it applied with that kind of like scale, and it really
Mm,
created kind of almost like a ancient aliens sort of temple vibe, which I really enjoyed being able to see your work in that kind of a scale.
yeah, it was really really fun for me to see too. Like I kind of realized a few things as far as like maybe the direction I want to take stuff just from like that experience. Um, as far as collaboration though, I don't really collaborate with a lot of people just because like I am very easily distracted, I guess. I don't know. It's hard for me to get into something and have a direction that I'm supposed to go with it. So I kind of try to avoid, you know, being boxed in anywhere, I guess, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I'm kind of cat-like, I guess, in that way, where like I just want to do the fun things I do, and as
yeah.
long as I can make a living doing that, like I'm fine with it. But
Well,
yeah.
you are very prolific. From the outside, it looks like you have a lot of discipline because you're always posting new work and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I should be doing more sometimes,
Right?
but
Yeah.
that's just the nature of who I am. You know that,
I
you get
do.
that.
I have the same little bug. I like to pretend it's a feature and not a bug. I'm always trying to make more, do more, be more productive.
Yeah, and you definitely need to take time off too from art. Like I get sick of looking at my stuff. Every once in a while, I have to just like take a weekend, go camping, go hang out with friends, play that video game you bought on Steam or something
Yeah.
for hours and hours and just kind of forget about it a little bit. And then when you come back, you're much more refreshed.
Yeah. It's important.
Mm.
I love watching your attention to detail as you sculpt this because it reminds me of some of the same ways that my brain would workflow on something, like bringing out the depth. And in a value set like colors, I would call that contrast or something. But just like the relief that you're pulling in and out of the piece is really beautiful to watch.
A lot of this too is like I don't really ever have a set plan. Like I didn't want I didn't like there's no point where I ever envisioned any of this. This is
Yeah,
just
it's very
I just
organic.
kind of what's that?
It's very
Yeah.
organic.
Yeah, it's just I just kind of tune out. I'm not
Yeah,
really thinking about a lot. I'm just sort of like I don't even know. You know what I mean? It's almost like a semi-spiritual state in a
yeah.
way. You just kind of get lost
It seems
and you
as
like the
though the fractals really kind of inform you where the rest of it grows from. So you have your fundamental unit, is what we would say in fractal geometry, and then from there, the different forms and iterations are sort of emanating from what we would call the fundamental cell unit in fractal stuff. I'm stretching my fractal lingo. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that people really enjoy about your work is that it has that intuitive organic flow, because sometimes when you try to over plan what you're doing with a piece, just from any artist's perspective, that sometimes we can get in our own way. And I really like that there's a sense of balance and that different elements of the piece inform the other elements.
Yeah, yeah, they all kind of build off of each other. I love fractals like a lot. I used to just, when I was going to bed at night, put on like a 3D fractal video from YouTube and just sit there and watch it till I fell asleep just because they are just so mesmerizing. And I kind of feel like yeah, it does sort of play into my design because I take, some bigger forms, bigger shapes, and then go in and repeat them again smaller
Yeah,
and smaller. You know what I mean? And so you are kind of creating a fractal like effect with it. And
yeah.
sometimes I feel like I go overboard. Sometimes I could do, more with less, but I also just kind of like to sit there and do it,
Yeah, it's all
add
an
detail after
exploration.
detail. Yeah.
I
But
need to play with
yeah.
Medium more often for sure. I've neglected it for a little while.
It's a fun program. I definitely enjoy it. I've been kind of more into ZBrush at the moment, but I go in kind of like it kind of ebbs and flows because there's certain things that they're both good at, and if I spend time in one and then I have ideas and I'm like trying to do something in ZBrush, and then I'm like, well, damn, if I had Medium, I could just do this in like a second,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, I'll have to try that next time in Medium. And then if I'm, in Medium, there's like things I'm doing that I'm like, wow, I can carry this over to ZBrush, I think. It won't be as effective, but, it's something that I haven't done before, so they kind of play off of each other. Like, it's kind of interesting. Like, I feel like most artists, like, you should really, play with a few different programs like
Yeah.
regularly. Like, don't ever just like, you know, I don't like drawing really or painting. It's just not my thing. I like 3D. That's how my mind works and thinks. So like I don't think I'd ever draw or anything like that, but I do like to jump around in different programs and try stuff.
Are there
So
any
yeah.
other programs that you're really fond of for 3D sculpting?
Other than like ZBrush and Medium,
Yeah.
um, not really. I used sorry if I'm talking too loud. I
No,
don't know
no,
if
no,
you
you're
can hear
fine.
me. I used Blender for a little bit and just tried out their sculpting tool set and you know and learned a little bit of its modeling stuff, and honestly I think it could be pretty popular or pretty powerful, but like and I have a lot of respect for it, but I don't think it was quite up to ZBrush or Medium yet. I think that Blender is a powerful tool to use with them, but other than that, no, I haven't really. I tried to use, I think it's called Shape Labs VR sculpting application, and that one is a lot like ZBrush insofar as like it's easier to you just layer forms over it versus like this program where it just there's no, it just kind of goes everywhere. You have to kind of try to control it a little bit more, but it was pretty buggy at the time, and you could only have one object,
Mm.
and that right there was kind of like, I like to use multiple objects, especially when I'm in VR, so I haven't really used that one since either. But I mean, it could change, it could become a very good app. I'll probably return to it.
What has been your
Yeah.
favorite like rendering pipeline when it comes to pulling your stuff out of ZBrush or out of Medium and sort of like polishing it in a renderer?
Yeah, I really like Blender Cycles. I used Keyshot for a long time. I just um, bought the it's basically a ZBrush to Keyshot bridge, so it takes it right from ZBrush right into Keyshot, textures, everything. And that's what I used for quite a while. But then I started learning Blender Cycles, like the Cycles engine and the Eevee engine, and like I haven't looked back, which is kind of sucks because I spent like $500 on Keyshot, to use it. Now I don't even use it anymore because a free program, in my mind, does what I need and does it like a bit better. So Blender has definitely been my favorite tool for bringing my stuff out of Medium or ZBrush and bringing it right into the Blender. Um, Medium's nice too because I can UV unwrap everything in Medium and export it out. And I could even start painting it in Blender, doing various things with it, you know. So that's also pretty cool. It's all set up like that.
It's gorgeous watching you work. I'm hypnotized right now.
Oh yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
it's
I
fun.
love the little Oni that I got printed from you. He hangs on my wall in my bedroom.
Did
He's
I just send you like a regular blue one, right? Or did I actually end up painting it gold?
I was a goofball and I requested that it be done in that like translucent smoke black and then you kind of just
Hmm.
spritz it with a layer of black. So he's kind of this
Oh
cool
yeah, that's
ombre.
right. Yeah,
I
if you hold
love
them
it.
up to the light, it's really, yeah. I like that transparent resin. It gives it a very kind of like glass-like.
Yeah. He's scary as fuck.
Did you
He
try?
scares away all the baddies for me. He's like a dream catcher.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. It's weird to think that that was made that so long, well, not like so long ago, but because I'm only a few years into this, like to me it feels like a long time ago, I guess, but it was only like
Yeah, time
when I just
dilates.
made it a few years
It's
ago.
intense,
Yeah.
especially with VR.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, with VR for sure. I'll be sitting here and I'll be doing stuff and I'll look over and I'll be like, wait, I've been in here for 3 hours? Like, oh God, I gotta like go get some water or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In your wildest dreams, where would you like to see your work applied in VR? Like, do you imagine like big dank temples with sculptures like this, or like avatars, or like Prometheus style Xeno worlds?
Yeah, like kind of what I'm thinking, especially with the release of what I'm seeing in um the substance modeler and there's certain things I suppose I can't talk about with it, but there are some things that are on Adobe's website that can, but there's a lot of new tools. Like one thing really wish was in Medium that would just, I feel like, take me to the next level in Medium and make things just nuts is radial symmetry. So, if I had this head
Ooh,
here, I could have a head here. I'm
yeah.
connecting them and doing,
Oh, that's gonna be
and
groundbreaking.
and the new program has that. And it has a whole host of like of like 3D stuff that helps you build objects, build pillars and
So
things like that. So
you could hypothetically still have the symmetry like you have on a face, but then have an additional radial symmetry. So it could be like like a mandala or a circle of faces or like a pillar of faces.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
that's
And
so
I'm
magical. I am gonna go ham on that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big deal. I think that's when that program finally I get to test it, which I have no idea when, but I feel like that's going to be the next big, as far as 3D applications go for VR. I think that's going to be huge, 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 huge. I don't even know if I'll use Medium anymore after because
Cool.
it is Medium with, all of that other stuff in it.
Yeah,
So,
it'll transform it.
yeah. But, I would love to do temple complexes. I kind of think of like, the idea of sculpting an entire city or a temple complex that people can download as a VR experience and walk around in. I'd love to play with the idea of like making these giant monuments that you can just like walk up to and look, and then like, smaller ones, I don't know. There's so much that you could do. It's endless. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I should never be bored again. But
That's
yeah.
exciting to think about. I've been thinking a lot about temple complexes, and it was also some stuff that came up in conversations with Fong the other week. So I think that a lot of us are having similar inspirations. I'm excited to see where that goes. On a similar note, and I mean, I'm gonna make the admission myself first. I'm not very big into social VR. It's just because I operate on so many micro cues that it still feels really early in the development of that sort of thing for me. So it takes a big stretch of the imagination for me to, enjoy myself in the same way I do with people in real world. But I'm curious if you've spent much time in social VR and if you feel like any of them has more potential than others in terms of being able to host a user created space like that.
I honestly have not. I
Good
haven't
for
even
you.
played like I haven't even played a VR game. I've only used, Medium, Shape Labs, Gravity Sketch a little bit, but I haven't tried to, do any of those
Oh,
features.
you sound like
So,
me. That's endearing. Everybody's always asking me what my favorite game is, and I'm like, you mean art? Because that's the game I
yeah.
like to play is more art.
Yeah, if I play a video game, I'm just like, my body's like, what are you doing? You should be working. You have
Yeah,
the VR headset on. What the heck?
yeah.
I just feel guilty the entire time. So,
The only exception to the rule for me has been every now and then I'll play Beat Saber because it feels good to,
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But that's about it. Yeah, it's so rewarding to make art though that it hits that dopamine sweet spot, and no other game titles are really that compelling. I would rather be making content and working on potentially creating games. Like to be honest, like I just watching you make this before I even brought up temples and stuff like that. I was like, "Oh my goodness, what if there was just a gorgeous temple complex filled with stuff like this?"
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
really cool
mean,
how VR destroys the limitations of scale and resources and being able to create certain kinds of really like deep impactive experiences.
right? It really is. It's really changed how I kind of view things, even. And like, I feel like my idea of it, I guess, or like, when I was first getting into it and looking at it, I thought it was just more of a gimmick. Like, I remember a few years ago being like, really? You put on an $800 headset to like play a game. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll just buy a nice monitor. You know what I mean? And I just never really got it. And but that's because like all the VR stuff I'd ever done before that was just like cheapy $30 like VR sets that you like put your phone into. You know, they're really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started seeing like some of the stuff that people like were doing in VR and like Medium, and I was like, oh wow, like okay, so then it's maybe not so much of a toy anymore. And I mean that's like how things always start, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
first it's a fancy toy that rich people get, and then through them buying it, it gets cheaper. Then other people pick it up, and then they find uses for it, and that's just kind of like the cycle of innovation. And but it was just really cool to suddenly start seeing it like being adopted in like workflows and you know on a mass scale. And like I feel like the moves it's made just in like a year or two
Yeah.
like have been insane. Even since I've gotten into it, it's like every day there's like new things that people are doing with it that just it's like I don't know, like it can't be understated enough or over or understated. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't talk.
Yeah.
You
It
know
cannot be understated.
how important VR is going to be to everyone. And like I don't think you're going to be able to get away with it. You know what I mean? Or get away from it. Sorry.
Yeah, I
For
agree.
long. Like it's kind of like 3D printing. It's the same basic concept of innovation that's just accelerating. Like my first resin 3D printer that I bought, it had like a 2K screen, just a single like lamp light at the bottom to cure the resin. Now they have like light arrays that are super fast and accurate. But it just had that. It had like really tiny build volume, and it took a lot of finagling to like get it set up and like get it printing right. And now like just in the span of that was like 2019, and like now I've got huge resin 3D printers that have the crazy lights on the bottom that print things super fast. And I paid $550 for my first resin printer. My Saturn, which is a build plate that's four times the size of my EPAX, I think it was a X1, four times the build volume, a way better screen, and it cost us it was like the same amount of money, less than I think it was like a year and a half later.
Yeah.
So these fields are just crazy to watch. They're just going nuts.
It's the same
It's
trajectory with VR headsets too. It blows my mind that people can pick up, the Quest 2 for $100 less than the initial Quest a year earlier.
oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the Quest 2. Um, I ended up bringing mine back, but I mean, and then I just went on eBay and bought a Rift S for like $200,
Right.
or maybe it was like $150. It was pretty cheap. And then I was going again in like a week,
Yeah.
and it's crazy how fast like the price point on this stuff has fallen.
Well, I'm going to be real. I feel like that's important for some of the viewers to hear. Zane and I are on Team Rift. I think I have an original Rift. And I do have a
Yeah.
Quest, and it serves its purpose, and it's, cool, but it's a little heavy, and it has limitations with the display. And I think that having something that can piggyback on a powerful desktop and something that's lightweight really makes an impact for an artist being able to spend more time and have a more immersive experience without experiencing discomfort, whether it's your eyes or your neck muscles or just tension headaches in general.
Yeah, definitely. Like and and that's why I'm kind of I don't know, a little disappointed that with like the Quest 2 because I felt like it was so much more of like a headset to get people in to buy games. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you skip the PC, and I just feel like for people that are using a headset for actual production purposes, like
Yes.
like I plan to 3D print this as a piece that's going to go on the wall, you
Yeah.
know. So I'm going to spend lots of time in here refining it. I don't want to wear something that is not hard, you know, hard lined into my computer. That's
Yeah.
not, you know, I don't know. It just I could see what they're doing as far as, you know, um, trying to appeal to the masses with something
Yeah.
that doesn't need a computer to operate. But like, I really hope that they come out with more of a desktop system
I
too.
think they'll see
Like,
that they have two audiences to play to. That there's going to be the user audience who consumes content, and then the creator, um, the creator client. That they want to be
mhm.
creating tools for them to utilize making additional virtual reality content. I think it's so cool to be able to make stuff for VR in VR. Because in the past, that we've only been able to create digital stuff on a screen, but to be able to experience it in real time in the medium that it's meant for, I think that it eliminates this kind of guesswork that comes from working with a mouse and a screen. I would have gotten into digital art much sooner had that leap not been such a big distance for me. I'm a traditional artist, so the thought of using a mouse and a screen was pretty torturous. And it wasn't until
Yeah,
you could play in VR directly that I realized that the time had come for me. So to
yeah.
have tech companies design their tools with artists in mind, I think will be a really big part of maintaining interesting content creation, whether that's game design or just immersive environments or cinema, just any kind of medium for VR.
Yeah, definitely. I'd 100% agree with that. And I know for like me too, actually having it to where I can, you know, just have it right in front of me and I can like, you know, move my hand over and, you know, I can look at it. I can look at this stuff from like, you know, I can get right down into here and fix certain things, but I can see forms or something that maybe are off or shapes that are, you know, maybe off in a way that I can't do if I'm constricted to um, my tablet
Mm-hmm.
on PC, you know,
Yeah.
because I use a like a Huion like display tablet, but I can really zoom in and check things out and, you know, make sure that all the shapes are good versus with that it can be tricky to you don't have the same freedom of movement, I feel like, with more traditional um you know, like stuff like that, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. That's gorgeous.
But yeah.
So, for folks who aren't familiar with your work currently, what are the best and easiest places for them to not only follow what you do, but be able to potentially, add to their art collection with some of your amazing work that you 3D print?
Yeah, sure. I have an Etsy shop. It's Dark Artifact Designs, kind of a corny name, but
It's a cool name,
and
whatever. It's cool.
they can go there and I don't have everything that I make. Not everything ends up there, but quite a bit of my popular pieces and stuff are there, and I try to keep the pricing very reasonable. Free shipping if you're stateside. And then I don't remember what my Instagram account name is. I think it's just Zane Rogers 90
Cool.
is my
Yeah, I'll be sure
Instagram.
to include some links in the description for people who want to check that out. And I feel like it's important to emphasize that this amazing artist makes masks. So if you're looking at this incredible mythical being and you think to yourself, like, wow, it would be so cool to, embody that, you can check out his collection of amazing 3D printed masks, and you can even, wear an epic face like this. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have quite a few on there. Half mask, full mask, all that kind of stuff. A few of them actually I started in Medium and then brought over to ZBrush. as
That's
well.
super
So
cool.
some of them are started in VR. Yeah, been a lot of fun doing that.
Super rad. Well, I really enjoyed getting to
Yeah,
watch you work on this tonight and to pick your brain about your inspos and what you think of the different technologies.
yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on for a little bit to hang out.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah,
fun.
I'd love to have you back sometime too. We can dive
Yeah,
into other
definitely.
cool aspects of VR. I feel like might be some other cool questions, but I feel like I'll pick your brain about it elsewhere first.
Yeah, definitely, for
Because we've
sure.
got some really cool interview series coming up where we're going to do panels with additional artists too, and I'd love to invite you to those as well.
I'd be completely down for that. That sounds like fun, for
Sweet. I'm
sure.
glad to hear it.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, thanks for
definitely.
watching, everybody. Be sure to check out Zane's work in the description and have a great evening. We'll catch up with you later. Bye.